Imagine a world where parents don't just hope for a healthy child, they place an order. Where disease is deleted before birth, intelligence is dialed up like a setting, and the human body is treated like a product to be engineered. That world is no longer science fiction. It is arriving faster than most people realize, and artificial intelligence is driving it. The question isn't whether this will happen. The question is whether humanity is even close to being ready for it. When AI began reading the language of life, for most of human history, biology was a mystery. Scientists could observe it, study it, and occasionally treat its failures, but rewriting it at the source was beyond reach. That changed with the discovery of CRISPR, a gene-editing tool that allows scientists to snip and alter specific sections of DNA with remarkable precision. Then came artificial intelligence, and the combination of the two completely transformed what was possible. AI doesn't just assist in this process. It accelerates it at a scale no human team could match. A single human genome contains around 3 billion base pairs. Large-scale research studies can involve hundreds of thousands of genomes. No team of scientists working alone could process that volume of data meaningfully. AI systems can. They detect patterns invisible to human researchers, predict the outcomes of genetic changes before a single experiment is run, and identify the mutations responsible for devastating diseases in a fraction of the time traditional research would require. One of the most significant breakthroughs came with the development of AlphaFold by Google DeepMind. This AI system cracked one of biology's hottest problems, predicting the three-dimensional structure of proteins from their amino acid sequences. The achievement was so profound that Demis Hassabis, the head of Google DeepMind, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2024 for this work. Proteins are the machinery of the human body, and understanding their shapes means understanding how they function, how they fail, and how they might be fixed or redesigned. Then came Evo2, developed by researchers at UC Berkeley, Stanford, and the Arc Institute. Trained on over 3 trillion nucleotides drawn from more than 128,000 complete genomes across the entire tree of life, Evo2 doesn't just analyze DNA. It can generate entirely new genetic sequences, predict disease, causing mutations, and design genomic code with a level of fluency that once seemed impossibly distant. Researchers describe it as a machine learning model that can read, write, and think in the language of life itself. That framing is not an exaggeration. It is a warning. AI tools such as DeepCRISPR are now being used to design guide RNAs, the targeting systems that direct gene editing tools to exact locations within the genome. These systems account for dozens of variables simultaneously, predicting off-target effects and optimizing editing outcomes with a precision no human researcher could consistently achieve. The result is that gene editing, once slow and error-prone, is rapidly becoming fast, accurate, and scalable. The FDA has already approved somatic gene therapies for conditions such as sickle cell disease, with AI playing a growing role in their development. These are treatments applied to living patients, not heritable changes. But the science doesn't stop there. The designer baby question and the world already choosing. In 2018, a Chinese scientist named He Jiankui stepped before an international audience.
Nana came crying into the world as healthy as any other babies a few weeks ago,
resulting in the birth of twin girls he called Lulu and Nana. His stated goal was to make them resistant to HIV. The global reaction was immediate and severe. He was condemned by scientists, ethicists, and governments worldwide, arrested by Chinese authorities, and sentenced to 3 years in prison for conducting illegal medical practices. His work was described as ethically reckless and scientifically sloppy. The children born from his experiments have lived under silence ever since. He Jiankui's case was supposed to be a warning. Instead, it became a preview. After his release from prison, he returned to research. More significantly, certain figures in the technology world began openly expressing sympathy for his ambitions. A cryptocurrency entrepreneur reportedly reached out to He in 2024, offering funding and calling for more scientists willing to challenge conventional wisdom. That kind of private enthusiasm for human genetic enhancement is no longer rare in Silicon Valley's inner circles. Companies like Orchid and Nucleus Genomics are already selling polygenic embryo scoring services to parents undergoing IVF. For fees ranging from a few thousand to over $50,000, parents can receive risk profiles for their embryos covering everything from disease susceptibility to traits linked to intelligence and anxiety levels. Elon Musk, one of the most prominent figures in the technology world.
We're trying to dig a hole under LA, and this is to create.
A protege of CRISPR pioneer Jennifer Doudna, confirmed raising $30 million for embryo editing research, only after press inquiries forced the disclosure. The company had no public website and required early staff to sign non-disclosure agreements. What makes all of this more alarming is the geopolitical dimension. China has demonstrated a willingness to experiment in this space that Western governments have not matched. As AI capabilities grow globally and the race for biotech dominance intensifies, the ethical frameworks that previously governed human genetic research are under enormous pressure. The window for establishing universal standards is narrowing, when nations with fundamentally different ethical baselines are competing for the same technological advantage. The question of who gets to define what is acceptable becomes far more dangerous than any individual experiment. The divide being written is not just ethical, it is economic. Access to genetic enhancement will not be equally distributed. A technology that can raise a child's probability of good health, intellectual performance, or physical resilience will naturally attract wealthy buyers first. That creates a scenario where the gap between the advantaged and the disadvantaged is no longer just about wealth or opportunity. It is written directly into DNA. The threshold humanity is approaching. There is a meaningful distinction between two types of genetic editing. Somatic editing changes genes in a living person's body. The changes affect only that individual and do not pass to future generations. Germline editing changes the genes in embryos or reproductive cells. Those changes become heritable, passed from parent to child to grandchild, rippling forward through time. Somatic editing has broadly accepted therapeutic applications. Germline editing is where the profound and irreversible consequences begin. AI is making both types more feasible, faster, and cheaper. As models grow more capable of predicting genetic outcomes across complex biological systems, the barrier to attempting germline modifications will continue to fall. Scientists working in generative genomics, a field that combines AI with the design of entirely new genetic sequences, speak openly about a transition from biology as a descriptive science to biology as an engineering discipline. That is a fundamental shift in what it means to be human. The ethical questions this raises do not have easy answers. If AI can reliably eliminate a gene responsible for a fatal childhood disease, refusing to act seems cruel. But if the same tools can be used to select for height, cognitive performance, or physical endurance, the line between therapy and enhancement becomes dangerously blurry. Once society accepts enhancement for one trait, the logic of refusal for the next becomes harder to sustain. Elon Musk's Neuralink, which has begun human trials of brain-computer interface technology, represents a parallel frontier. While gene editing works at the biological level, neural interfaces operate at the intersection of the brain and digital systems. Musk has stated openly that his goal is not merely therapeutic, it is to achieve a form of symbiosis between human cognition and artificial intelligence. Between gene editing at birth and neural augmentation in life, the architecture of what it means to be human is being redesigned from both ends. Humanity has rewritten its environment, its societies, and its technologies for millennia. Now it is approaching the moment where it can rewrite itself. The tools are real, the momentum is building, and AI is at the center of it all. Being ready doesn't mean stopping the science. It means asking hard questions before the answers are forced upon us by those with the power to act first.